From heinously betraying the entire golfing community to receiving backlash from the families of the 9/11 victims, here's the dark side behind the LIV Golf and PGA Tour merger. First off, the surprise betrayal. If you remember, back in 2022, when LIV Golf officially launched, PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan had some very sour words for the Rogue League, calling it an irrational threat. But now, just a year later, the same guy did a complete 180 while describing the Saudi-backed league. This time calling it a partner. True story. In a heinous act of hypocrisy that's unmatched even in the world of mercenaries, the PGA Tour has decided to cozy up with its sworn enemy by announcing a partnership with none other than LIV Golf, the very same organization that every PGA Tour member has been publicly bashing for ages. Talk about a plot twist. I mean, Jay really went from saying LIV defectors should check their morals to I heart LIV. Not to mention, during the peak days of the LIV PGA feud, Jay said that players who chose money over golf will face severe consequences. And if they don't realize that, they must be living under a rock. But fast forward 1 year, the commissioner crawled under the same rock and said, Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, or PIF, is going to invest in the merger and also sponsor the tour. This basically means that Saudi Arabia now owns golf. Yeah, so the next time you're glued to your couch on a lazy Sunday, watching the nail-biting finale of a PGA Tour event, just remember, you're watching an event sponsored by a country that's not exactly known for its progressive values. Think no free speech, no religious freedom, and a less than stellar track record when it comes to gender equality. But what really is this partnership? If I were to describe the two leagues' relationship before the announcement in one word, it'd be salty. LIV and PGA were practically at each other's throats. Plus, the players who joined LIV were forced to quit the PGA. They even sued each other multiple times, with one legal battle still ongoing. But considering everything, it'll get resolved soon. That's not all, though. Some critics even called LIV a distraction from human rights issues. But the PGA still decided to merge with this league. Wow! Honestly, though, the PGA isn't all that clean either. And supporters claim the league is a big monopoly that uses strong-arm tactics. But still, the merger came as a shock to the entire golf world. The partnership was announced in mid-2023. With the creation of a whole new golf entity, even though the PGA Tour is keeping its non-profit status and calling the shots on how to swing its tournaments, this new for-profit organization will own all of the tour's commercial business and rights. And yes, that also includes those lucrative TV rights. Talk about taking control. As of June 2023, neither of the parties has made the name of this venture public, but they're referring to it as NewCo. Not to mention, NewCo will own not only the PGA Tour's rights, but also LIV's and the DP World Tours. So expect some big changes to golf really soon. Now, you might think this is a historic day for the golfing world, right? Well, it's more like a historic sellout day, and that's a fact. Commissioner Monahan sold out the PGA plain and simple. The man who once bashed the Saudi-backed LIV has now struck a deal with their benefactor, the PIF. Talk about a change of heart. PF has been putting big money where their golf balls are, and by now they've invested close to $1 billion in LIV Golf since its inception. Basically, LIV Golf is a part of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 plan, which is to transform its economy through investments. And the word on the street is they've got big bucks lying around for it, somewhere around $600 billion. Man, that's more money than I'll ever see in my lifetime. Anyways, that figure seemed to have appealed to Jay enough for him to abandon his morals. The commissioner said that finally, after 2 years of chaos and commotion, everyone can breathe a sigh of relief and celebrate this historic occasion for the sport we hold dear. Jay even claimed that this team-up will create a golf powerhouse that will knock the ball out of the park. And this partnership is sure to be a hole-in-one for players, partners, and fans alike. But here's the thing. He kept everyone in the dark. Not even big-name players knew anything about the merger. And not only that, but exactly 1 year after making the point that, unlike LIV, no player has ever needed to apologize for being a part of the PGA, but now he needs to apologize for what he did to the tour, as the PGA players are furious about being left out. That's right, it looks like even the tour players missed the memo while practicing their swings, or they were left in the dark on purpose. Golfers were quick to tee off on social media after the surprising news, which left a whole lot of tour players worried, and Canadian Mackenzie Hughes felt it was ironic that the PGA Tour officials are doing a complete 180 on their stance towards the Saudi-backed tour. After discovering the tour's merger with a league it swore never to join forces with, he tweeted that Twitter is apparently their new HR department. And he wasn't alone. Dylan Wu also took a full swing at the PGA Tour commissioner, calling out his hypocrisy with pinpoint accuracy. He wrote that all of a sudden, Jay became the CEO of all golf just by going back on his words. The irony. If only golf were as easy as making a wish. Another player, South Korea's Ben An, also observed the dilemma of players placing their trust in the PGA Tour. He wrote that the LIV was having trouble finding sponsors, and the PGA Tour couldn't resist the temptation of a fat wallet. Now, this might seem like a win for both parties, but it's a great loss to the players who fought for the tour they loved. But the bigger question is, how does the man from the front lines feel about this? Rory McIlroy from Northern Ireland was like a knight in shining armor, leading the charge against LIV for the past couple of years, valiantly defending the PGA Tour, and even he found out about the deal at the same time as the rest of the players and fans. Not only that, but the guy feels like he was a lamb being led to slaughter thanks to Jay. Yikes. Now, even though Rory's still convinced that golfers who left the PGA Tour should face the consequences for their actions, he thinks that the merger is a hole-in-one for the sport. Talk about a surprising turn of events. The golfer who absolutely hated LIV expressed his warm embrace of the incoming entity. But don't worry, Rory still says he absolutely hates LIV. But how does that work? Well, only McIlroy knows the answer, but he did say that he's still firm on his decision to not join LIV, and instead, he sees it as a partner only. It makes sense if you think about it. Whether you love it or hate it, the PIF will keep throwing cash at golf. And according to Rory, at least now the PGA Tour has some control over how that money's spent. He also said that he'd rather have LIV as a partner than face it as an enemy. After all, it's always better to have a wealthy friend than a powerful nemesis. Well, you know what they say, money might not buy happiness, but it sure knows how to buy the game. That still doesn't mean that everyone will be okay with it though, and people are rallying against the PGA. That's right. The PGA Tour is getting a lot of heat from lawmakers, human rights activists, and a group supporting 9/11 families for cozying up with Saudi Arabia-backed LIV Golf. Apparently, they're accusing the golfing group of helping Arab sports wash its record of human rights abuses. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. While it might seem like Saudi Arabia is trying to improve their image by funding the PGA, but is it really just a PR stunt? Well, no! According to Joey Shea, their state fund is going to take a swing at controlling professional golf, all while trying to polish their human rights record. Shea is a researcher at Human Rights Watch, so her words aren't just ordinary opinions. And if that's the case, then the PGA has decided to put human rights in the trunk and let LIV's financial benefits take the driver's seat. But it looks like the September 11th terrorist attack survivors and their families aren't too thrilled about the deal. To say that they're shocked and deeply offended might be an understatement. According to the families, Saudi Arabia went from funding terrorist attacks to taking control over all of pro golf. They even said that Jay and his team have put their love for money above everything else, even the sentiments of the entire 9/11 community. Terry Strada, the chair of 9/11 Families United, even called PGA's concerns fake. I don't know about you, but that's not a very good start for this venture. But there you have it. From backlash from the 9/11 community to the heinous betrayals, here's the dark side behind the LIV Golf and PGA Tour merger.